Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Hello and thanks for joining Corporate Governance Platform. The program is proudly brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, and we are broadcasting from MITV in Lagos. I am Dr. Tunde Odeyemi, and in the next couple of minutes, we are going to be having conversation on the MD's responsibilities as delegate of the board and head of management. And to lead in this conversation is a very distinguished corporate governance expert, Mr. MUIDEEN Adebayo IBRAHIM, ACIS. Mr. MUIDEEN IBRAHIM is a graduate of University of Ilorin. He is an associate member of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators, UK, and a former council member of the Nigerian chapter of the Institute between year 2007 and year 2010. He is also an associate member of the Nigerian Institute of Management. He is an alumnus and federal government scholar, GEL Class 1 of the Pan-African University, now Pan-Atlantic University, Enterprise Development Center. Mr. IBRAHIM has about 3 decades experience in various management fields in different sectors of Nigerian economy. He is the founder of BAMIB Services, founder of Libra Management Consulting, founder of BAMIB Resources and Investment Company Limited, the first pencil manufacturing company in Lagos. He is versed in company secretarial practice and administration, leadership and management, personal effectiveness, corporate administration, attitudinal change, and business finance, entrepreneurship, and corporate governance, amongst others. Mr. IBRAHIM is a consummate entrepreneur, quintessential trainer, corporate governance expert, and astute chartered company secretary and administrator. Mr. IBRAHIM, it's a pleasure to have you on Corporate Governance Platform.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
And I want to appreciate your time. And we want to discuss something very important to corporate governance, and that which borders on the roles and responsibilities of the managing director, first as a delegate of the board and as the head of the management of the corporate entity. Let's start by asking, what are the basic roles that are expected of a managing director of a company?
Well, thank you very much, Doctor. That's a very germane question. There are so many roles a managing director, CEO of any organization ought to play or should play, as the case may be. Number one, he needs to give strategic advice and support to the chairman of the board of directors, whom the other directors on the board. And this is very germane because most of them on the board may not be versed with what is actually going on in the company, vis-a-vis what the company is into. So it behoves on the managing director to give his own expertise, strategic advice to the board so that they can have a focus or a direction, as the case may be. As the case may be, the bottom line is profitability, and if he does not give them that strategic advice, it's going to affect the overall interest of the company. The another key thing that he or she needs to do, is to ensure that the company is run very well, because it's vested with the day-to-day management of the organization, and as a result, it needs to do very well in that regard, because he's going to manage human and other resources together, which are many. And don't forget, he's not operating in isolation. There are so many other external factors and other internal factors that he has to manage effectively so that the company can move forward. And aside from that, there are so many regulations that are affecting an entity or a corporate organization. The MD must ensure that he conforms with those regulations. And aside from that, the company must have various policies that will give them direction, and the managing directors must ensure that the policies are in place so that the company can run faster, as the case may be. Then aside from that, another key thing he needs to do, there are some basic reports that needs to go to the board, needs to go to the other stakeholders, vis-a-vis the shareholders, even the government agencies. He must ensure that all these reports are well supervised and they come out on time so that they can send them to the appropriate quarters or places. Then aside from that, there is another key thing he needs to do on an annual basis, which is called budget and budgeting. He must ensure that he supervises that very well, and that must come out on time, because as it were, the buck stops on his table. So he must be up and doing, up and running in order to ensure that things go on very well with the organization. Then not only that, he must ensure that he has strategic partners for the organization, vis-a-vis the customers, other stakeholders, government agencies. He must ensure that he has superb interpersonal relationship skills with all the various stakeholders, because the interest of the company must be very paramount to him or her. So as a result, he must ensure he does the right thing at the right time so that the company can move on. There are so many other things he needs to do, but these are the basic ones that an MD should do on a day-to-day basis, or as the case may be, so that the company can move forward.
Wow, that is a very huge responsibility on the part of the managing director.
Absolutely.
And I want to say that uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. And why is it not desirable in corporate governance that the managing director should also function as the chairman of the company?
Well, it's not desirable because there's what is called conflict of interest.
Okay.
If he is functioning in the two roles, definitely there will be conflict of interest. Sometimes ago, I did a research. I realized that businesses fail. And in Nigeria, I also realized that in the first 10 years, a lot of business goes down the drain. Second 20 years, and hardly you see most organizations survive for 20, 25 years in Nigeria. Why? It's a result of some of things like that. One of the reasons is because the owner of the company will not let go. He will be the MD and he will still be the chairman of the organization. At the end of the day, it's going to affect the business in the long run. Then aside from that, the issue of transparency, accountability, openness, responsibility, and a whole lot of other things. Corporate governance has some pillars that it stands on. It can never go very well because the same person is wearing two caps and it's not supposed to be. So when you see an organization that they have a separate chairman, separate MD, CEO, and other positions like that, you find out the company will run very well and it will deliver on the promise or set goals and objectives that have been set by the board.
You have mentioned separate chairman, separate MD.
That's the best approach.
Which also means that there could be conflicts between the MD and the chairman. Then what does it portend for the company if there is constant conflict between the chairman and the MD?
Simple, doom. The company will go bad in the long run. So, but for some of us that are versed in corporate governance, and there is a code and there is a guideline, you won't pass the line.
Okay.
Because there are functions of the chairman of the board, there are functions of the managing director of a company, and there are other functions of other officers in the organization.
The boundaries are set.
Of course. So the moment you don't pass the set clear goals or lines, then there won't be any conflicts of interest. The company will run as supposed to run. There is going to be profitability. There is going to be good returns on investment, and the company will be doing very well. And as at when due, you know, the other time I said one of the things the MD must ensure is the preparation of annual returns and accounts. He must ensure he supervises it, that comes out as at when due, so that I can send to various stakeholders. And if all those things are there, there's transparency, definitely return of investments will be high and the company will grow. But if there is conflict of interest, all these things will never be there. And before you say Jack Robinson, the company will go under, which is not good for the interest of anybody.
I want to come back to the issue of the managing director. Earlier on, you told us the huge responsibilities expected from the managing director. Now, for a managing director to be successful, what are the characteristics, or let me say, what are the personal attributes that a person must have in order to succeed as the managing director of a corporate entity?
Number one thing is integrity. If the MD does not have integrity, the company will never be successful.
Integrity.
Integrity is key. Accountability is also key. Transparency is key. And he or she must discharge the responsibilities that is given to him very, very well, or else the company will go under. You know, in the recent times, a lot of companies failed, and one of the things that made them to fail is because of all these things that are not put in place. Because of conflict, interest, personal interest. What is in it for me? And once you take that away and you run the company the way it's supposed to be run, the company will do very, very well. Move from no company to a bigger company and with a better future and a very good brand.
So once the MD has integrity and he also supports the tenets of accountability, okay, what will you say, or what are the consequences, likely consequences, if the managing director is being micromanaged by the board?
The moment the managing director is being teleguided unnecessarily, as the case may be, or micromanaged, definitely the company will not do very well. Because what you need to do is to give, there should be overall corporate goals and objectives that should be set clearly. And the company, the managing director should be given the responsibility to run it. And he or she should report to the board as at when due. Perhaps it depends on when they agree to have the board meetings quarterly, once in a year or twice in a year, or as the case may be. But they shouldn't be bothered about the day-to-day management of the organization. They should leave it for the managing director. But the moment you are concerned with the day-to-day and you are asking what is not supposed to be asked, there is going to be a problem, because it will put the man under pressure and he won't be able to be focused. And at the end of the day, it's going to affect the performance of the MD and the performance of the management. So the best bet is for the board to set clear goals and objectives. Maybe the beginning of the year, give him a timeline, give him a target, and allow him to come back to them. Whether he will have met it or not, then they go or move forward from that after the discussion with the board.
Okay, the MD should be giving targets, guidelines on, and expectations. There should be expectations
Absolutely.
of the board, rather than meddling into the operations or the activities of the organization.
On a day-to-day basis.
Okay. You have mentioned conflict of interest several times.
Yeah.
And I want to refer to the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance. The code provides that managing directors of companies should declare any conflict of interest on appointment, and annually thereafter they should continue to declare. What is the rationale for this declaration?
Well, the rationale for the declaration is to ensure that, one, as I said, integrity is intact.
Okay.
Because if the MD does not have integrity, he or she will never declare. So then two, because if you have another appointment and you did not inform the board immediately, as soon as they have the board of directors meeting, it presupposes that you are not helping your organization to grow, because where you have appointment, it could have serious adverse effect on your own company. So because of the tenets of corporate governance, openness, accountability, and responsibility and fairness, you need to declare that this is the latest appointment I have. It doesn't take anything away from you. It's just for record purposes. And don't forget that at the end of the day, there could be what is called board evaluation.
Okay.
You know, and these are the things that will be critically looked into to ensure whether the managing director is doing well or not.
Okay, for the sake of openness, the managing director needs to declare on an annual basis, right? And on that, we go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue with the conversation with Mr. MUIDEEN IBRAHIM, ACIS. Please don't go away.
Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Back. It's still Corporate Governance Platform, and we are broadcasting from MITV. I still have Mr. MUIDEEN IBRAHIM, ACIS, in the studio, talking and leading the conversation on the MD's responsibilities as delegate of the board and head of the management. Mr. Ibrahim, before we went on break, you actually made mention of the fact that the MD needs to declare, according to the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance, on an annual basis, and you gave us the rationale why the MD should declare. Now, according to the code, at the same time, the code says that the managing director, CEO of organizations, should not be a member of certain committees. For instance, remuneration committee, audit committee, nomination and governance committee. Why do you think the code particularly specified that the managing director should not be a member of these committees, knowing fully well that the MD is also a member of the board?
Well, basically, it's just to ensure that the MD does not have undue interference in the decision of those committees. Because most of the things that will be discussed at those various committees will have serious either negative effect or positive effect on the MD and other top management staff. So to avoid conflict of interest and undue interference, you know, some MDs in some other organizations are so powerful that they have overbearing influence on other members of the committee. So to avoid basically conflict of interest and undue overbearing influence, that is why the code and the people that drafted it in their wisdom said no, they should not, the MD should not be members or even chairman of those committees. Even the chairman of the board, specifically, the code further said that the chairman of the board cannot be chairman of some other committees as well. You know, and I think it is in the good interest of the organization, and I give the drafters of the code kudos for that. And you can see that those companies that conformed, they are doing very well in terms of profitability, in terms of corporate image, overall corporate image, and a whole lot of other things. So I think it's a very good.
You know, some school of thought, because of this, some school of thought believe that the MD is a professional manager. He should concentrate on managing the company, and should not even be a member of the board at all.
Absolutely.
He should not be a member of the board at all. What do you think about this school of thought?
No, he has to be a member of the board. Because on easy life, he has that he has a crown. And he needs to report to the board. And he needs to guide them. Don't forget.
Must he be a member to report?
Yes, he has to be a member to report. He has to be a member to report. You know, if you are writing the minutes, I'm sorry, it's not part of this, but I need to guide the discussion. As a chartered secretary, and I've been privileged to write several board meetings, minutes in the past. If you are writing the minutes, you know the first thing present, absent, and in attendance. Will you not be saying the managing directors of the company is in attendance of the board of directors?
If he's not a member of the board.
But he has to be. If he's the member of the board, he will be at the meetings. If he's not a member, he will not be privileged to be at the meeting. And there are some certain discussions he needs to guide them. Don't forget I said that he has to give them strategic support and advice.
Okay.
And if he's not a member, he won't be able to perform that role or function effectively. And it's going to affect them. He's the one that is running. He's at the steering wheel. And he's the one that is driving the car. And if he's not driving very well, the board will lose direction, will lose focus. He's there to guide them. And once they are derailing, he will put them all right. And he needs to work in tandem with the chairman of the board effectively so that the company can move on. To me, I don't support that school of thought. He should be a member.
Okay, still talking about the importance of MD, do you subscribe to the MD becoming the chairman of the organization after his role as the MD?
Well, to me, I have no objection to that. But there should be a cool-off period.
Okay.
Meaning, after the position as the MD, then there will be a cool-off. You don't just step in immediately as the chairman of the board. Maybe at least 3 years or 5 years as specified by the code. I subscribe to that. The essence of that one is that, he knows everything in the organization, and stepping again, he can use it to his own advantage. But if there is a cool-off period, by the time he's coming in, he will come in a very fresh way, fresh minds, new ideas, and he's going to ensure that the company or the board guides the company very well.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about ICSAN, the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. ICSAN prepares professionals, prepares people to become a professional chartered secretaries and administrators. Now, does ICSAN professional training also prepares or train people to become an effective and efficient managing directors?
Yeah. And to add to what you have said, and corporate governance experts.
Okay.
Yes, it does. If you are a chartered secretary and administrator, in fact, when we were undergoing the training, be a chartered secretary and be a master of all. It prepares you very well to step in as an MD. Because one, you are grounded in law, marketing, data analysis, computing, tax management, pension, name it. So once you are there as the MD, you have an overview of what is happening in the organization. And so it prepares you very well, effectively. In fact, it's a noble profession, and I will urge my viewers to please look into it and take it and come on board and join, because that's the only profession that has given me leverage to be who I am today. And wherever I find myself, I've always excelled, and because of the exposure I had at ICSAN whilst undergoing the training. And I became a chartered secretary in 2002. That's 21 years ago, for crying out. And I'm just like wine, getting better on a daily basis, because there are other refresher courses and other things I'll go back there to learn and do. So it is a noble profession, and I will encourage everybody that are not yet members to come in and join us, because you'll be better for it. One, you become more efficient 2, you become more effective, and 3, you will have that transparency. And 4, the accountability will be there, and 5, the openness, and a whole lot of that. Then you will have that sense of responsibility to do the right thing at the right time. And another thing that is peculiar to us is the timing. And once you say 4, you get there 3:45 or even 3:30. That is one of the things you'll be trained on, because you are going to the board, as the case may be, or you are going to manage a meeting. So you get there on time. So time management, you understand, and punctuality, very key. So there are so many things one will get. And aside from all those things I've said, once you are there as a member, you develop a lot of skills that will enable you to perform effectively as either MD or wherever you find yourself. One, so many skills, and some of the skills: 1, effective communication skill, interpersonal relationship skill, EI, that is emotional intelligence, good decision-making ability, you understand, team building, and a whole lot of other things, because these are some of the things you have learned at one time or the other, and you bring them on the table, and you will find out that a lot of us that are charter secretaries and that are managing companies, we are doing far, far better than others. I'm not saying others are not good, but you can't compare Apple with orange.
Okay, I still want to take you up personally on your own personal experience. I know while reading through your profile, we said you are a founder of about 3 companies, to mention a few. BAMIB, Libra Management, and BAMIB Resources. And BAMIB Resources is the first company to manufacture pencil in Lagos.
Absolutely.
So you are in manufacturing. Yeah. And I'm sure some of these companies were the MD.
Yeah.
Would you say that ICSAN training has any impact in what you are doing in this company?
Of course. Absolutely. In fact, it is ICSAN that is giving me the leverage, the platform to do what I'm doing now. It is the training that I got from the institute that is giving me the impetus to move. And I've worked as charter secretaries and advisors. I've managed so many boards as their external company secretaries. I have the experience. I say, well, let me challenge myself. Enough of that. Let me move into manufacturing. And to God be the glory. I'm moving and beginning and not even the base. So the profession has really positioned me strategically, has given me the necessary leverage, exposure, experience, the temerity, and the determination to move ahead and to achieve and to prove a point. Because I felt challenged when Dr. Onu, the then Minister of Science and Technology, said the country, they spend 750 billion naira to import pencil into Nigeria. I said, wow, that's a lot of money. Why can't I tap even if it is 1% of that? And the technology was not there. The resources were not there. I said, wow, I need to do it. And that's one of the advantages of undergoing training at ICSAN. I felt challenged, and behold, I threw my heart into the ring. And today, we have come out with pencil 2019. He said that in 2015. 2019, I went back to him. I presented the pencil. He stood up and he hugged me. You know, so the opportunities are enormous for us, members of the Institute of Charter Secretaries and Administrators. 1, you have exposure. Then 2, you have the necessary or prerequisite training. Then 3, you also have network of people you can leverage on Linux. Then you also distinguish yourself anywhere you find yourself.
Okay, based on your own success story, Mr. Ibrahim, what advice do you have for managing directors out there on how to uphold the tenets of corporate governance?
Well, number 1, they should have integrity. Number 2, they should have fairness. They should be fair to all, not just a group of people. There are some organizations that is what is called politics and politicking. It doesn't go. It will mar the organization in the long run, even in the short run. In other climes, we have organizations. India, I did research. We have organizations that have spent 150 years, and the companies are still running. Come to Nigeria. The reverse is the case. March 2025. Hardly will you see a company that will pass the yardstick or timeline of maybe say 30 years. So what we are saying in essence is that they must have integrity, openness, fairness, and accountability. And most importantly, they need to have effective board. And the board must be sincere. We have seen a lot of boardroom politics in the past, and some people, they didn't sow anything they want to reap. And you ensure that the people you bring on board as your board of directors, they should be able to support you. And once you have all those things in place, and a good management team is also very key. And don't forget, people make it happen. You must ensure that the people you also employ, because you cannot do it alone, the people you employ, they must also share your vision so that you can move on faster.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim. That is where we are going to wrap up. We have said it all. For MDs or people that are preparing to become MD, you must have integrity, fairness, openness, and accountability, and you must have an effective board. Mr. Ibrahim, a consummate entrepreneur, charter secretary, and governance expert. Thank you for coming on the show and for sharing your thoughts on corporate governance platform. For our viewers out there and the production crew, I'd like to say thank you. I would like to wrap up by giving you a quote from an American author and a leadership expert, John C. Maxwell. He said, "A successful person finds a place for himself, but a successful leader finds a place for others." On that note, I invite you to join us next week, same station, same time. I remain Dr. Tunde Odeyemi. Bye for now.
Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.